Hi, folks. Thank you for trickling in. I'm waiting for Rafat. We're going to be talking today with the creator of the My Mindful Moments Journal, Rafat. So I'm just going to wait till she comes over. Yeah. So my name is Aarti, and we are going to talk about what the creative process of putting together my Mindful Moments journal was like. Um, this is a journal that came out during the pandemic, um, and it is a culmination of work that Possible Perspective put in the last possibly 5 years. And Rafat is our creator as well as curator of this journal. There she is. Give me one moment.
Hello. Hello,
Hey,
everybody.
hey, Rafa.
Hi.
How are
How are
you?
you? Good.
I'm
Everything okay?
all right. Cool. Cool. We'll do the actual catch up outside of
Yes.
the talk, but I'm just gonna introduce you briefly, and then I'll have you do a little bit of that yourself as well. Um, so this is Rafat, folks. Rafat is a psychotherapist and has been a core member of Possible Perspective till last year. She has helped us. A lot of who Rafat is part of Possible Perspective today. One of the things that she has been just graced us with and left behind is the Mindful Moments Journal. We are actually going to have a conversation today about what the process of creating this journal was. Rafat, I'm going to give you a moment to introduce yourself, and then I'll launch my first question to you.
Okay. So, hello, everybody. My name is Rafat. I haven't done introductions in a very long time, so I don't know how this goes so much. But as Aarti said, I'm a psychotherapist. I started my journey of therapy with Pause, and Pause has been and will always be a very special part of my life. And currently, I am practicing individually. Right now, on a small short break because my life took another turn. I am also a mom right now, a 3-month-old mom. Uh, so, yeah, currently that project needs my attention. So I'm on a break. But I think therapy and mental health has always been what I do. And when Aarti asked me if I wanted to be a part of this, I excitedly said yes. Um, yeah, I think that's who I am.
Alrighty, thank you so
Thanks for
much. I think
having me.
it's yeah, of course. I think we published the journal, and then we decided to sort of publish it in house. I mean, print it in house and have it in house, and then things sort of just happened in a way that we couldn't really sit and reflect on, wait, what was this like? What does it mean? How do we journey with this? What is the intention of the creator in creating this and curating this journal? So I think it's really a good time to, I mean, we've come around to do it. So thank you so much, Rafat, for being willing to do this with us. So I guess the first question would be, tell me about it. What got you to think about putting it together and just the
Honestly,
journey
I
of that.
think, yeah, the journal, right? Like when I think about it, even when you asked me to come today and do this, I was thinking about the journal and reflecting because it's been some time. If I think about it, honestly, it was never the idea to make a journal. Like how we started with a bunch of activities, and then the whole thing came out to be so big and amazing that we said that let's put it together and make it a journal. So uh, I think as a person, I'm a very visual sort of a person. So when I read something or when I attend workshops or even in conversations with people, I tend to kind of visualize or, able to see it visually. And even with these concepts of mindfulness or any therapy related concepts, I would want to like put it out as I'm seeing it in my head. And I remember, I think at pause at that time we had a social media team, and we would sit together and brainstorm ideas. And one of those ideas was, let's just make these act metaphors into things that are visually put out, or these mindfulness concepts. So I think that idea was the birth of it, but we didn't do anything about it till a very long time. And then the lockdown happened, I guess, and we were all sitting at home. And I had some time, so I remember, I think this one evening, randomly just opening up, Canva, that editing app, and just playing with colors, playing with fonts, text, and trying to see what can happen. And it was very spontaneous, and then that whole thing came about. Like, I made an activity. So the basic idea was that how mindfulness is, and any other therapeutic modality is seen as such a complex thing, but in my head I wanted to just bring it down to the basics, bring it down to common people. And that was the intention. And uh, it started with taking these big words from mindfulness, like autopilot or stance, or you know um, what was the other one? Compassion also, and anchor, and just breaking them down to basic everyday things, and how I would, understand it, and then expect, also help people understand it better. So I think that's how it started. And then one after the other, the activities came out. I remember sharing it with you guys, and I was very apprehensive, and you people loved it. And I was like, really, is it that good? And two things really helped, I think, as a team, and even as you saw that creative side to me, and then you pushed me in it. So that push and that support from the entire team to just help me keep doing it really brought this big thing together. I don't think I would have done it after the first one. It was just like, as I said, playing around with colors and fonts and things, and then this thing came about. And then when you guys saw it and loved it, I was like, okay, let me try something more. And it slowly built layer by layer. And yeah, and then it became a journal after a year or so. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, you know, there are three parts to the journal. No, the
Yeah.
first part is primarily mindfulness
Yeah.
based exploration. So there are a lot of activities that are very reflective in a very supportive manner. The second part is reflecting on relationships. So a lot of
Yeah.
that language was given by one of
Yeah.
our other therapists,
Yeah.
Shweta, and we really, and Nida, of course, was a lot of art within the second
Mm.
part was also
Yeah.
Nida's contribution. And the third part was journal prompts. I know that you have worked a lot within the journal prompts even before they became part of
Yeah. Yeah.
the journal, the physical journal itself. And
Yeah.
we still have those highlights on
Yeah.
our Instagram that you really put together with such,
Yeah.
I think, such love for color and thought that went in there. I was curious about the journaling prompts as well, and what your thoughts were behind and process was behind putting it together.
Yeah. I think as uh, I think it came from a very personal space also, because a lot of times when I am, in a situation where I'm not able to make sense of what's going on with me, and my session is maybe, a week or two later, what really helped me was just to sit down with my thoughts and write it all down. And that was, a personal sort of a thing that helped me. So I wanted to bring it even to the world. And yes, I remember we slowly started this whole series with every week, twice, we would put up journal prompts, and we would ask people to, use them as prompts to sit and journal. And the interesting thing about that is that we might, quote somebody from some movie or some other place, but what's standing out for you and what's striking you is what is, going on for you right in that moment. I might take the same prompt and do it, some other day. I'll have a completely different thing coming out. So I think everybody, every person with their own, if they sit down with that journal prompt, would be able to reflect on it in a very different way that's, very personal to them. So uh, the idea was basically to, help them to simply just start writing. And with that prompt, whatever is standing out, they could just take that and, reflect it. And sometimes uh, and I think I discovered this as part of narrative work also. We would watch movies, or we would read some books, or even storybooks, right? Like children's storybooks. We would read them. And such minute, small things would stand out for people and even for us. And they talk so much about what's, hurting us deep down, or what's bothering us deep down. And just that process of, sitting down and writing or reflecting brings out so much of our emotions. So the basic idea of journal prompts was to help them start to write about anything and everything, and then slowly uncover what's probably going on for them. And sometimes nothing goes on, you just want to sit and write, and that helps. So yeah, it's just a way of
Yeah.
expression made easy.
Yeah. I'm really thinking about what you said, and it really landed for me. This thing about like small details that become illuminated. Um, that's the intention of this entire journal, no? Like I'm thinking about mindfulness and the things that are there in the first part of the journal as well. That they're really things like, what is going on in your BEST right now, right? Like as
Yeah,
simple as that, right? Like what's happening in your body,
yeah.
emotions, sensations, and thoughts. And then you have different pages where you get people to reflect on what is push feeling like in the body, what is
Mm,
pull feeling like in the body,
yeah,
what is curiosity feeling like in the body, emotions, sensations, and thoughts. And I'm thinking about the goal really is, and of therapy as well, right? Like we want to be able to populate the lives of people with what is preferred for them. And I think a lot of that is present within the journal as well. I was thinking about the second part too, Rafat, like the one
mm-hmm.
with where Shweta has looked at,
Yeah,
and basically what one of our therapists, Shweta, what they unpacked is really Eric Erickson's development
yeah,
psychosocial stages, and basically blown it out of the context, blown it out of
yeah,
the path, right? And really what and your supporting questions between each of these pages allow people to think about relationships in a way that I don't think Erickson ever imagined to do. So I think
yeah,
it's,
yeah.
it's really
I think what we did was we took psychoanalysis and, forced it through a lens of mindfulness and put it out there for people.
yeah.
I think that that section is quite heavy. Like you really need to be in that headspace and that, yeah, because when one day I actually sat down to fill it and it felt too heavy to just fill two or three questions because they were so, yeah, I mean, it requires you to be in that headspace, but also so informative. Like as you said, right? Like we took Eric Erickson's stages of development, psychosocial development, and there are psychosocial, right? Like it talks about how you interact with the society, and society is also our relationships, and that bit about simple as trust and building trust with people, and then asking questions about what does trust feel like and hope feels like from a mindfulness stance. It gives so much information. Like I didn't know I was writing things I didn't know I wanted from people in my life. So I think it's a very powerful thing. And yes, Shweta, I don't know how she did it. She just took those things, saw them through mindfulness, and like put them down. Uh, but yeah, it's. I would say it's heavy, but then I think it's extremely insightful to do those activities. And yeah, even I was amazed at her way of putting it through those stages.
Yeah, yeah, I think I agree with you about the heaviness, but I think that's why the journal sort of tends
Yeah,
to be something that you sit with. No,
yeah,
like just maybe
yeah,
you just want to look at it right now and think about the word
yeah,
hope, but I
exactly.
don't,
Yeah,
and I don't think it's something that has an answer that is a one stop. That's it. So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, all right.
Also, I think the other things in the journal kind of, make it neutralize the heaviness of it. Like the other activities, they're so basic, and some meditation somewhere or some bingo, somewhere. So those things really neutralize the heaviness of that. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, I'm wondering. If there's anything else that you would like to sort of speak to the coming together of the art within the journal, like how did you, just to sort of think about colors, to think about how things come together. What was your process like? Is there a
I think when I first started, because I did not know that this would become a big journal, like that was not the intention or the idea. I was very I was able to do it freely. Like I did not fuss about colors, or I did not think too much about what fancy fonts I want to use. The content of it and the intention was highlighting much more than the creative process. And the creative process was there,
Mm.
obviously. But if now I sit down and think, okay, let me make journal part two, I can't because I'm thinking too much about what color should I use. It should be perfect. It should be better than that. But just a simple process of just enjoying the journey was what I did with that. So I don't think I, thought too much about the color combinations, the font sizes, and everything. The idea was to how do I illustrate this small thing that I want to, deconstruct in a way that's easily understandable by the people,
Yeah.
and what they'll how they'll be able to look within and answer some questions for themselves. So uh, I would say that it was extremely spontaneous. Spontaneous is the word. It just kept growing. I changed things, and then I got feedback from you guys, and then I added a few things. So, and I think that helps me, and I think even others, that when you fuss too much about the end product, or when you think about, okay, I want this great thing to come out of this, you will never be able to do it. But if you actually enjoy the process, and that was mindfulness, right? Like that was moment to moment, doing it mindfully, to just be in that moment and enjoy what I was doing, not thinking about what major thing or minor thing might come out of this. Uh, and yeah, it was a flowing process, and it just built on its own, I guess.
Mm. Mm. What is so the next question?
Mhm.
What is the favorite part of the journal for you?
To be honest, making it was my favorite part. Like now that I think about it, I really liked doing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But jokes apart, the first part is really fun, like
Mm.
because I think I made it also.
Yeah, it was
Uh,
all you.
yeah, it was really fun doing those activities also, especially the push pull.
Mm.
And if you ask me about the favorite practice, I think that would be compassion. Like, and there's an exercise on compassion, right? Like where you talk about mindfulness, common humanity, and then extending compassion to ourselves. It's such a tiny thing to do. Like it's a very small 2-minute exercise, but it has such a great impact on at least me, because I am able to see that, okay, this is a moment of suffering. It's as simple as that, and suffering is everywhere. It's common humanity, and how can I be kind to myself? Like that one bit, I think I've been doing that also. Like, uh, and it is difficult. It's difficult to just go through life some days, and to take that moment and notice that, okay, it's as simple as just this, right? Like common humanity, everybody's going through this, it'll pass. So those, and then the other activities also. So yeah, I really like the first part, and definitely journaling also, because I tend to sit down and write.
Mm.
Sometimes prompts really help me to get a give language to what's happening more than, because sometimes I'm not able to understand why am I feeling this way. But if I'm writing about some quote or something that's standing out in some of the prompts that I have written, I can understand what's going on better. So those two parts, I guess, are my favorite.
One of the my follow-up question was going to be, how would you suggest people to
Mhm.
use the journal? I mean, I am currently actively using it in an MBSM group. Oops, I think current went away. Hey,
Hello,
hey,
electricity went away,
that's right.
but mobile data at the rescue. Yeah,
Brilliant. I'm
yeah.
glad you're still
I,
here.
I am. What was your question?
I was asking, how would you suggest people use it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um, If so, initially when I started off, mindfulness did not make sense to me. And I remember having these conversations with you, because mindfulness was this huge, big umbrella term, which means, person sitting on a mat, practicing some meditation and radiating peace. And I tried doing that. I could not get there. And I said, this is not for me. But I think just being in that space, seeing you practice it, seeing people like it, I just got curious to understand it better, and I wanted to know how is it that it works for others and why is it not working for me? And then I realized that again going for the end result of this peaceful person sitting on some hilltop radiating peace. And that's not what mindfulness is. Mindfulness is as basic as just being aware of what's going on with me right now. And and when I had that realization, it was like this eureka moment. Like, I could hear chimes of bells ringing, and I thinking, oh my God, I was living under some rock. But I think that gave me an understanding of why people, and I have some clients also who do not want to, if I introduce mindfulness, they have a resistance to it. They're like, no,
Mm-hmm.
that's not for me. And that, I think, made me realize that people don't actually know what it is. It is not meditations. It is not being peaceful. It is not, doing body scans or breath awareness. It is so much basic, so much more everyday basic. There's one exercise in the journal also. It's about noticing when you're brushing your teeth. It's as basic as brushing your teeth and noticing it, right? And so I said, so my basic intention was to deconstruct this whole story of mindfulness that it had around it and bring it down to the most basic everyday things. Like it's as basic as me not wanting to eat something because I don't like the taste of it, and that's push stance. And just because, we use the word push stance, we are like, okay, what is this big thing? So I wanted to bring it down to your everyday basic daily lives and not to this special day I take out in a week to sit down and meditate. So if mindfulness doesn't make sense to you, then I think this is a good start. And if it does make sense to you, then nothing better than having prompts and, activities to do. So I think it is for everybody. Um, so and how do I suggest they use this? If you want to just be aware of yourself, like therapy is a way that you gain self-awareness. This journal is a little bit of a self-help sort of a way of actually just sitting down with yourself in a quiet corner and understanding what's going on for me. In times when you probably don't have anybody who's listening to you or don't have a therapy session, in the coming week, or if none of those things are also going on, if you just want to just sit with yourself and maybe color and enjoy that process, even then it's for you. So I think it's for everybody out there.
Thank you, Rafat. The way I use it in a couple of ways, one is
Mm-hmm.
definitely when I'm doing the MBSM classes. Like right now, I'm doing a 8-week program, and it's a brilliant tool to just get people to um, it's such a quick way of just coming back. It's ironic that we're saying quick way to come back, but it's this really very supportive tool to just come back and look at, okay, what did we do in class? What landed for me, and how does this make sense for me right now? So I think that's one way. So every class, I might suggest people a page to really reflect on. With my therapy, I use it especially when clients or people that come to see me come in for relational issues, which is, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we live in most of us are always grappling with relational issues, and
Yeah.
oftentimes I suggest that as a companion to just sit with some of these words, right? Like hope or will or those kinds
Yeah.
of things, and really
Yeah.
unpack what it's opening for them as alongside with conversations that are happening in therapy. So I think that's another way that I use it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. All right. One last question for
Mm-hmm.
for the day. What is one takeaway you'd like everyone to have? Folks who read or look at and try and unpack the journal. One takeaway that you'd like for them to have.
Take away. I think, as I said, just maybe giving mindfulness a shot is the takeaway. Like, not, uh, yeah, the idea was basically to, not be wrapped up about these and not reach these goals of peace and contentment. And I am a mindful person always, or if I'm mindful, I need to be calm, composed. It's just to, I think the basic takeaway is to just let's sit with ourselves and reflect and think about what's going on for us. Yeah, and give it a shot. Give mindfulness a shot, because that was my shot at mindfulness. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Rafat, for today. I wonder if you have anything else to sort of say or reflect on with the journal before we wrap up for today. And anything
Mhm.
about your work right now that you would like us to sort of hold space for.
Um, it was really nice being here. I mean, I see some people are here. If they want to ask any questions, even you guys can ask.
Sure.
Apart from that, my work, as I said, I'm currently focusing on a completely different project of mine.
Important
So
project. Yeah.
work has been a little bit so okay, this is the first time I'm putting it out to the world, but let me. I used to do something called the Safe Spaces at Pulse, and it was a group therapy thing. I'm slowly starting to, I'm practicing privately, so I thought I'll slowly start uh, something of my own and personalize my practice. And I thought of calling it the Safe Space. You're the first person who knows about it. Congratulations. So it's
Thank
nothing
you for
yet. It's
sharing.
just a conceptual sort of an idea. But yeah, that's what I'm planning to call it. I don't know where this is going, but I'm not gonna think about it. So that I'm using this journal as an example of, not thinking where this is going, but just doing one thing at a time.
Brilliant.
So currently just starting with this concept. Um, yeah, let's see where this goes.
Oh, that's so brilliant. So whenever you get it started, let us know and we will share your work with the world. It's a
Yeah,
um, beautiful name, and I'm really excited for it for you.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, folks. If anybody would like to get their hands on the journal, you can always DM us on the Pause for Perspectives page. I think there was a question, Rafat. Let me see. Um, Oh, yeah. Did you have an answer? The question is what happens when mindfulness just adds to one's depression because one is helpless throughout life?
I think what mindfulness talks about is common humanity, right? Like everybody is suffering. Suffering is a part of life. Even like lately, I've been reading this book. I don't know if people will agree with it or not. It's by Mark Manson. It's called Everything is Fucked. It's a book about hope. So I think a part of it spoke about how pain is everywhere, suffering is everywhere. Everybody is going through this. You cannot take it away. And the more we fight it, the more we are, straining ourselves. So I understand that yes, mindfulness just adds to your depression because you're getting aware of your suffering and pain. But running away from it is also not helping because it's there. It's just there. So maybe you should try the compassion exercise, whoever wrote that. I understand what they mean, but yeah, it's a long
Yeah,
question and we need to go deeper into it also. So
yeah,
but
yeah.
but yes,
Thank you. No, and I think what I would say is just really, I think, the like you said, no, the journal is all about deconstructing the ideas of mindfulness. So I don't know what we are thinking about mindfulness that makes it so difficult
yeah,
when we're already in pain. So maybe to really reflect on
yeah.
unpacking that word for ourselves is important as well. All right. We are going to stop for today, but thank you so much, Rafat, for coming in. It was so wonderful
Thank
to see
you.
you and hear your
Yeah.
voice and
It was
engage
so
with.
great to be back. Yeah. It
Right.
suddenly felt like I was part of PFE again for like
Yes,
20,
yes,
30 minutes.
that's right. You are a part of PFP in spite of not really like working within
Yes.
that. I think
Yeah.
all of
Always
what
will
you.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Thank you, Rafat. Talk to you
Okay.
soon.
Thank you for having
Bye.
me. It was lovely being here. Bye
That
bye.
was lovely. Bye.